How are you, Dustin?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I am excellent. Thank you.
Got the mask kicking there, do you?
Oh my gosh, I should get that off of the video. Thank you.
Oh, you're all right.
I'm at the office, so out there we have to wear them. Thank you. Whew. There, now I don't look quite so crazy.
It matches, so that's all good.
That's all that matters, right? Yeah, I don't know what that's there. So how's your Friday?
Not bad, although it's an interesting start. My aunt just discovered rain in her basement, so I'll be heading out after this afternoon's training out there to help her.
Oh, there was so much rain when I drove in this morning. There was a lot of water everywhere.
Yeah, the electricity in her area went out, so it wasn't so much the amount, it was just more the inability to remove it.
Is she close by?
Oh, well, right now I'm in Wisconsin, so no. But
where are
yes,
you
what's that?
Where are you in Wisconsin?
Just a town called Menominee Falls, just west of Milwaukee.
Oh, nice. So yeah, and is she down here or is she up there?
She's in Sycamore.
Oh, so you're headed south.
Yeah, I'll head down. I will go through and help her out.
You're a saint. Don't mind me. I'm just getting ready for my, I now have 3 more closings after we're done with this.
Yeah, I know. I saw the email yesterday. It sounds like you've got a handful today.
You know what? We'll take them. We will absolutely take them. This is when we all get paid. So me included, it is a good day.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
So I'm going to let you handle most of today because I think this whole disc profile and communication thing is right up your alley.
Yeah. That's fine. Chime in, ask questions.
You bet. You bet I will. So how about, what are you hearing from agents? Are they equally as busy or?
It's really hit or miss. You're really seeing folks out there that it's just quite literally hit or miss. I mean, it's just one of those things where some agents are beyond busy. We were just doing a YPN event yesterday, and it half the group was just not doing anything as far as business goes.
It is, isn't it? And it's kind of, I hate to use the word scary, but I think that depending on which side of that fence you're on, it can be very scary, especially given everything else that's happening. But all we can do is keep working through it. That's easier said than done, though.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, you could see how the sausage is made right now.
I think to what we were emailing back and forth, I think I'm going to sit there and see if we can't find, I know you're going to find some agents, but see if we could find a mortgage person or a photographer and a stager as well. I think it'd be good to have.
To see if we had members in REFB, but I didn't hear back.
Oh, did you reach out to her?
I did yesterday, and I don't know. I just hadn't heard back yet, and I haven't had a chance to follow up with her, and I probably won't until tomorrow.
Because I think it would be great if we can get all 3 components involved, what agents are doing, what, photographers are wanting to see as far as this goes.
Right.
And hopefully some stagers that can say, this is, because to me, I think things show digitally differently than they do in person, right? I mean, just things look a little different.
I think that's true.
We'll see. Slow group, or I don't know, but we only got 3 so far, as long as 3 so far.
Oh, and I sent out another blast. I did another post this morning, but I feel like people are getting zoomed out a bit.
Yeah, well, it happens.
It does, and it's also a busy day, so.
Well, I mean, I don't know what's the weather like for you guys out that way, but today Wisconsin's going to be 70 degrees and warm.
Yeah.
So some people might want to be doing other things.
And I think it's pretty nice now, although we had a boatload of rain last night. It doesn't seem bad. I didn't think it was cold or anything like that, so. We're out there, all this paper put away by the time we click in.
Well, it'll be good because this is going to be a shortened version. But normally, what I'm going to start doing is quite literally a disc lunch and learn about every other Friday, I think, where people can just come in and do it. So this will be a good practice round.
Yeah.
And we are on YouTube Live, just so you know.
Oh, right now?
Out there. Yep.
Oh, very good.
Just figure try new things. One, it'll save me steps from putting it out there.
That's right. Well, and so many people watch live now.
Yes, they really do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of the reason for doing this.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's great no matter the size of the group. I think it's always good to get people on.
Yeah, I just got to start. I'm going to have to start setting up the environment a little different. I'll keep doing this because it'll be hard to bounce back and forth to see if there's any YouTube questions or comments. Although right now there's no one on.
Gotcha.
Right now no one's on, so it's not a big deal. But I'm just waiting. We're going to give it a couple more minutes, and then otherwise it'll just Paul gets special attention.
Okay.
Yeah. But we can help Paul create some very unique plans for himself if he wants to.
There you go. Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Yep.
Can you? Okay.
How are you?
Hi.
Although, like I say, my bad joke is there's two different times in real estate: real time and realtor time.
Isn't that the truth? Well, and if they are busy, well, and they might have listings that they're out taking care of if they've got water, because there was so much water. I saw some pumps even pumping out of homes as I drove into work this morning, which is kind of a scary sight.
Yeah, there could be that. You're right. There definitely could be some management of things. We probably should have took this week off. This week is also NAR legislative week. So there has been webinars every day this week.
And you can only handle so many webinars. I can totally see that.
Yeah,
and especially if they're getting ready for the weekend. Hey, Kathy.
Yeah, there's been so many. And my thought was this weekend I was going to try to finish some certifications. Well, that got quite literally washed out in the rain. So it is how it goes. Hey, Kathy, how you doing?
Oh, her mic might be off. I don't hear her.
No, she doesn't have a mic set up yet. She must be still finishing some things up.
Oh, gotcha.
She don't have the mic icon. Give it a couple more seconds because this one won't be as long. I mean, unless we get questions or other things. My thought was about 30, 35 minutes. Hopefully I'll give you a little bit extra breathing room.
Oh, I have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then a 3:30, so it's not crazy. Although my 1 o'clock, I still don't have anything on. So we're hoping the girls are getting that. We've got numbers coming in and they're getting that ready while we're on this call.
There you go. There you go. Let's just make sure I got what I was looking for. Okay. Well, we can begin. There's only 4 of us, which is great. We'll get this started. So welcome everybody. Again, my name is Justin Lethby. I'm trainer, speaker, coach. I work with the John Maxwell team. We do lunch and learns every Friday right now. Teresa here's with me with Chicago Title. We have been doing this together for, this is 4 weeks now?
We've been at it a month.
Holy cow.
Time
So
flies, having fun.
absolutely. And what we've been trying to do is just give various topics that we think will help everybody in this time, right? During the pandemic and through all this stuff. And we had actually started this, talking about this even months prior, hoping to do in-person lunch and learn type conversations with folks. And we just decided to take it live here. So today, what we wanted to do was have a conversation is, how does the business look today? And how are you communicating with your clients? Because one of the things that I personally feel is, it's one thing to talk in front of people, and even Zoom's not too bad. But as we can see in here right now, it's only me and Teresa that are visually on the screen. The rest of you guys are just kind of participating behind the scenes. So I can't see your faces. I can't see the smile. I can't see the frown. I can't see the arms crossed. I can't see any of that stuff. And communication is all part of that stuff, right? I mean, one of the things it is communication. It's what, like 67% is the physical read that we do in there. And so having those communication strategies today via email, texting, even chat boxes aren't the same thing as being here in person, or even literally live in person. So talking to folks I think is a big trick. And one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about today is kind of to talk about how to interpret the things that we are seeing going on. Because one of the challenges that I have always found is when someone writes an email, they'll sit there and write it, and we'll sit there and go, well, that person's a jerk. Or we'll write it and they'll go, I can't read that. It was way too long, right? There's just so many different things that happen for us that come out there. Well, the reason for that is these conversations, these communications that we're having with our clients, our fellow agents, our managing broker, whoever it may be, our title folks, whoever it may be, are talking from different behavioral profiles. So one of my favorite tools is called DISC, D-I-S-C. It stands, it doesn't stand for anything. It's based on the 4 behavioral assessments. And these out here are designed and established to handle each primary profile. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to get into a little presentation here in a second, but before we get there, just understand, we are built on all 4. All of us have all 4 profiles. But we are driven by 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. Usually it's 1 or 2 that we are driven by, right? When we get in stress situations, those pop up, and that's what we are kind of focused on. And we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit, but want to understand how those communications work and what you're seeing, and then how to relate to the other folks that are out there, and understand that maybe they're not being a jerk, understand that maybe they're not being wordy or being too analytical. That's just who their nature is. And we just got to kind of understand how to work inside that realm. So that's the long-winded answer. So if you can't tell, you're going to know in a real quick. I'm a high I because I am wordy. I do like to talk quite a bit. So, but what I'm going to do here is we're just going to share my screen, pull this up. And again, if you guys have questions, write in the chat box, say it out loud. I'll stop any point in time. I have no problem stopping during the presentation at all, but rather just kind of jump into this. So we are all built on this, and we all should understand the systems that are out there. So DISC is built by William Marston. Now, this has been built several years ago. This is just the current pronunciation of the 4 behavioral profiles. They're called dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. And one of the things I want to make sure we all understand inside here is the fact that, please understand that we're not trying to put you in a box. As I had said earlier, we have all of them, but we do want to understand that how people are reacting and how we can kind of work inside those arenas. So I'm going to ask you guys some questions. I'm not going to ask you to answer out loud, just kind of think in your head in here. But I just want to imagine a scenario. If you're in there and you are walking into an elevator, what do? Are you the person that when you come in here, you just stand, you immediately turn around and you pray and hope no one talks to you?
No.
If you're that, you're going to be the reserved profile, right? So these are the people that are just a little more laid back, a little more I won't say internally focused, but just a little bit more passive in nature. Now, if you go to the other hand, you got that elevator. Some of you in the room, and I'll be that person, some of you in that room, you walk in the elevator and you may not turn around. You're going to look at everybody because you want to say hi to everybody that steps in the elevator. You're going to frustrate some of those folks. We are going to come out there and we are going to sit there and do that. You know, you might be Elf. I don't know if anybody watched that movie with Will Ferrell. You might be Elf and you might hit all 27 buttons on that thing just so you can spend more time talking to folks. But that's who you are. If you're that, you're the more outgoing personality. You're the ones that have the chatty personality, the more people-oriented people that are out there. Another way of looking at this is if you have a trip that you are planning. So if you do this and you have a trip that you are planning, and if you are looking at this, what do? Are you the person that is looking to do everything and you have to have a checklist, right? Did I get my hotels? Did I check the ones that have Wi-Fi? Do I have the route planned out? Especially today, there's probably a lot of us that we need to make sure we know every stop we got and is it even open right now, right? So people are going to have check boxes for all that stuff out there. If you're that where you have lists for lists, you're going to be more of a task-oriented person, right? You have to, your prioritization is getting things done versus the other person that are the ones traveling. They're the ones that don't have a task list. They may have a suitcase the size of a small box. And because all they're worried about is going out and having fun with the people, right? They're just the ones saying, I don't care what we do. Let's just go do it together. If you're those, you're the people oriented. Again, that's more of a me strategy. I always remember back right when I graduated from college, all my friends, we wanted to know what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it. And I said, I don't care what we do. We just got to do it now. And let's just get it done, right? Let's just go have fun and do it. So those are the 4 profiles. And if you look at this, and if you come back and we'll look at it here, doesn't have all up top here, but just imagine up top it has outgoing and down on the bottom it has reserved. So if you looked at those questions and you talk to yourself and you ask the questions about who is more task oriented, if you fit more task oriented but you were outgoing, you are going to be a D profile. Versus if you were people oriented and outgoing, you're going to be the I profile. If you were task oriented and reserved, you're going to be the C profile. And if you were reserved and people oriented, you're going to be the S profile. So those are the 4. Now, when we talk about this, this is your 4 categories. The first one is the D. So these people only represent 3% of the area, which is really quite interesting for us in real estate. Because if you're dealing with us in real estate, now it's 3% of the country, 3% of the population that are Ds. But if you look at it in real estate, and I'm sure Teresa can attest to this because she deals with a lot of realtors, a lot of realtors are Ds, right? So our sphere, we're going to have a lot more Ds in there, but in a whole, it's 3% of the population. When they're out there, these people are looking for the control. They are very, very decisive. They are direct, and they're just going for the results. They are very much a multitasker. They are driven by the authority. And what I mean they're driven by the authority, they have one of 2 things. They either want to be the authority, or if someone tells them to go do it, they're just going to go do it because that was what I was told to do. I told to get it done. Let's just go get it done. They will easily take control. They will embrace any changes that help them get results. So they will change on a dime if it means the results to get what they need to have. And then they are very comfortable with confrontation. And this is where, for me, and we'll talk about me here in a little bit later, but for some of us, it's very challenging because not only are they comfortable in it, sometimes they will seek it. So it becomes very, very challenging. But they really do treasure loyalty. And this is one of the things that becomes interesting because with the treasure of loyalty, their biggest fear is being taken advantage of. And you'll see this a lot of times. That's the words that will come out of a D profile's mouth is when they talk about this and someone felt like they got abused or they got a bad outcome from a thing. Their key words will be, you'll hear them say it, I was taken advantage of, right? They'll hear it all the time. So those are your Ds. If you come to the Is, that's only 11% of the profiles. And again, we just covered in real estate. Remember, we're just talking 14% between the Ds and Is. That's most of us in what the industries that we're in. But it's only 11%. We're very persuasive. We're spontaneous. We're friendly, and we love the spotlight. And what I mean by spontaneous is why my real estate joke is always just a bad joke. We have 2 times in real estate. We have real time and realtor time. Because of our spontaneity, we have a hard time with being on time because we're doing something else that had our attention and we lost track of the time. Normally, I try to be on these lunch and learns about 20, 25 minutes early just to make sure everything's set up, everything's going on. Anybody that wants to come in early and chat, they can. Well, to be honest with you, I got caught on a project this morning. I got distracted by the shiny objects, and I didn't get in here until 10 till. Not that any of you noticed because no one was on here until about 5 till, but I was caught by my own shiny objects. Randy says true. So we are very much our eyes. We are relationship oriented. We are very emotional. We love to tell stories. I remember when I was my first training job, I was working with some people that had been in the industry 30 years, and they would always give me a hard time saying they thought I had more stories than they did. And it was probably true. I think I got a story for everything that's out there in life, and I don't feel I'm old enough to have those. We're encouragers. We're always going to promote and encourage other people to do it. And we treasure great experiences with others, right? So the things that we remember are not the outcomes. We don't remember a successful sales. We remember the people we worked with that got the sale done. Our greatest fear is rejection or loss of approval. And in our industry, that is a challenge, right? I will not make phone calls, not because I don't like the phone, although I don't like the phone. I won't make phone calls because I don't want to leave me alone. Don't call me again. I can't handle those conversations. It hurts my feelings. It hurts me to the core. So the rejection is one of the biggest challenges out there. For the C profiles, we are sorry, not the C's, the S's. We are team oriented. Now, this is the biggest group that's out there, and this is in whole. S's are 69%. We are team oriented. We follow through. We are very loyal, and we want acceptance. We want everybody to love us. We will do whatever we can to help people make sure that they're what's going to happen for us. So they are very easygoing. They are very, very loyal. We are evenly paced. We do things at one pace at all times. We are great listeners. We have very good compassion. We treasure peaceful relationships. And our biggest fear is loss of security confrontation. So when you think about this from a real estate perspective, think of someone trying to sell their home. If they're very much a high S in personality and they're very much a high S and they got an offer, they're going to pause. Not because they don't want to move on with the deal, but you have now just changed everything in their life. So they fear security, they fear the confrontation, they have just changed everything. Their pace has gone. It is stressful beyond stress for them, and they need time to do that. In an office, if you have S, a lot of S's are administrative tasks. If you say, by the way, we are doing a 90-degree, 180-degree shift in business, you're going to want to tell them first what's going on because they need that time to breathe and take it all in. They'll be your biggest advocate once you get them on board, but it's going to take them time. Last but not least is our compliance. So these are our analytical people. These are the ones that have systems for everything. So they are compliant, they are analytical, they are planners, they are overall accurate for anything else. They love the accuracy for anything that's going on. They want all the data. So they are compliant. They're going to do everything. And so C's in our business are probably the safest group out there because they know all the laws, they know all the rules, they know everything that has to be done, and they're not going to break a single thing that's out there. A listing contract, if you give them a series of tasks, they're going to get it done, right? Everything that's out there is going to be done. They're very conscientious. They're very, very accurate. very few times a C for like a managing broker will have to have them come back in and recheck something, reinitial something, because they've already checked it 5 times. They are very detailed oriented and they treasure perfection, which means their biggest fear is they hate the criticism because they've already gone through everything. They've triple checked this stuff. So when you find a fault, it hurts them. It hurts them to the core. And they will very, very much challenge this. So John tells us that connecting increases your influence in every way. That's why we're talking about this way, because we're dealing with things virtually. So we have to understand these things and how we're going to communicate this in a digital world. So we're going to talk about this. But one of the things that I want to go back to real quick is I want to go back to this chart. This one here. And I just want to tell you one thing, because this is a lesson I've learned a long time ago. And it's something just to be aware of. So my leading profile is an I. If you look at this in the cross platform, so I go from I to C, these are my biggest stumbling blocks, right? So the antithesis of me is a C. The antithesis of a D is an S, right? These are where those stress points meet their hilt. So for me, I'm an I. Someone keeps asking me the why questions or I need more details. It stresses me out. I'll have a headache by the end of the day. I know the importance of it, but I'm going to stress it out. So the example I will give you is I have a cousin. I took him early on in my career. I took them on showings. Well, my cousin's very much a DS personality, so kind of matches with me pretty well. But her husband was very high C. And every time we got out of the house, he had 5 why questions. And most of them were like, I don't know, don't care. Why does it matter? Can't say that out loud, but that's what it was going on. So they were my biggest struggle. D's, the other thing is that, remember, they love confrontation. Well, S's hate the confrontation. So when a D comes in all excited, animated about a new thing they're going to do or something they need to have corrected, the S, whether or not they were in trouble or not, thinks they're in trouble, thinks there's conflict, they're going to just shy away to what's going on. So when we word things, we're just going to want to be mindful of that. So with that, D's, how do you communicate with D's? You need to be brief. So when we're talking with D's in a digital world, any world really, but in a digital world, think email, things like this. Be brief, direct to the point. Ask what, not how questions. Focus on the results. Don't ramble. Discuss problems and its effects. I would recommend with D's, discuss them in bullet point things. Here are the things I need. Here are the what's that need to be identified. We need to get the listing contract done. We need to plant the dollar sign. We need to have the 5 days we can do open houses, right? Put all those in a list. Get that out there. Tell them why you're going to do it. What are the results that are going to be the outcome of this? And unlike me, don't ramble. Don't have 5 stories that go on to what it gets done. Here's why we're going to do this. Here, don't sit there with the D and say, we're going to do the open house because the last 5 times I did the open house, we had great relationships. People talked about the home. They don't care. Did the open house, get a result, yes or no, let's do it. Get to the point. With the eyes, and this is where it's tricky for some of us, especially in real estate, don't do all the talking. Let them talk. Let them share their stories. Don't ignore their ideas. Allow time for socializing. When you're doing an open house or you're sitting in here, or especially in the digital world, if you're going to sit in there and you send an email to your clients and they're a high I, ask them how their family is at the end of the email, or start with how's your family, right? Don't come straight to the point. Ask some social questions. How's your family? How you doing? Did your basement survive the rain last night, right? Give them time to share their stories. Always follow up with them in details. Always follow up any conversations you have via the phone or anything else verbally with something in writing. And then the best thing you can do is have these conversations chunked out. Don't try to have the whole conversation done and do it in 40 minutes or in one long email. Have those conversations in short email segments, texting segments that are out there. Because if you're going to do this, the shorter the better. To be honest with you, the bottom line for this last one, I would even say this in the digital world: if you're going to deal with an I, have a short video that you send to them of the things you want to get done, because they're going to watch it way faster than they're going to read the information, and you're going to get the point across much faster. Communicating with an S, always create a friendly tone. Again, for some of us, especially, remember in our world, we're in our real estate world, we're very heavy D oriented. We got to have that friendly tone. Again, we got to be more of a family style conversation. Showing interest as in a person.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be aggressive. Minimize the potential for the confrontation. This is a trick, right? Because again, remember, especially speaking digitally, when they read things come out, email become very, very monotone in nature. I would recommend using emojis, using some other thing out there to show things aren't bad. Because remember, especially if you're talking from a seller, right? And they're going to get feedback. They're going to read aggressiveness in some of those feedbacks. The prices, it's overly priced. The bedrooms were, not well designed. The living room was not spaced well. They're going to read this stuff, and all they're going to hear is, well, why are they so mean? Why don't they like my house? Right? This is what they're going to hear. So for me, one, if you get feedback and review, take it away, rewrite it so it comes in that, and then put some emojis in there or put a translation of what this really means to them and tone it down the conversation for them. Minimize potential for confrontation, define the goal for everyone's role. S's need to know where they sit in the process. So have that out there. When you're doing the presentations, you're sending the emails, tell them what everybody's expectations are and how they're going to participate in this. And then give them time to adjust for any changes. If you're going to do a price change and your leading decider out there is going to have that, email them a few days ahead of time and start saying, hey, look, we're going to have to talk next week about a price adjustment. Give them time to contemplate it ahead of time. Don't come into them today and say, we've had one showing for the last 5 weeks. No one's made an offer. We got to change the price, because they're going to say, whoa, not happening. And if you write that in an email, they're also saying, no, it's not happening. And why are you being a jerk? That's what they're going to say. So give them time to adjust, give them time to prep, give them time to do that. The last is the C's. Now, again, as I told you earlier, this is my antithesis. When I actually describe the C's, I get a headache because it just stresses me out. But here you're going to have to give all the details. If you're going to do this and you're going to put this in writing, bullet ties all this stuff out, or give them a spreadsheet so they can look at the information. Use validated facts. Don't just tell them your opinion. If you're going to recommend a price change, give them the details to support it. Show them the MLS listings that are going on. Show them historical data that NAR tells us what's going on. You're going to have to supply them. You're going to, what for most of us would be drowning in detail, they're going to want it. And they're going to need it. Be very precise in your explanation. Be very specific, and be patient with all your answers, because here's the thing that's going to happen. If you send an email, you send a text to them and all these things, they're going to come back with 5 tests, 5 questions, 10 questions, asking for more information, and you're going to have to answer them. So that is essentially the DISC profile in a short conversation. Again, we fit all of these. Remember, we fit all 4 of these categories. We're driven by one, and so are your clients. Your client is driven by 1 or 2 of these. And when you do this, you just want to make sure you try to have that conversation out there that does this. Oh, good point. So Teresa just asked, do I find that profiles I prefer a specific form of communication, phone, email, text? Yeah, I would say I's want the phone calls all day long. We want the phone calls, if not the video chat, FaceTime, things like that. D's and C's will want probably an email thing, along those lines, maybe even a text message. S's are going to be close to the I. They would want the phone call, but if you give them a couple warm and friendly, text-based conversations, you can do it. I's and S's are going to respond better to video in any form that's out there because they're going to want to see that. They're going to see the reactions. They're going to want to feel the conversation and feel how they're doing with you. So anytime you can put your face inside the conversation, I's and S's are going to relate a little bit better. But the D's and C's are probably going to be better with the email because it's information they can read and they can peruse at their own time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, folks. This is now for you. This was going to be a short one. We are at, I don't even know what time we're at. But here's what I will say for here. We're going to unshare this. I just wanted to share that with you. Communication is going to change for us no matter what. And that's just kind of understanding the profiles that we have talked about today. And I think it always matters because, again, depending on how you read an email, depending on the profile that you are, you're going to read that email different than what the profile that was sent from, right? If I'm writing an I and I'm writing this stuff out here and I might try to bulletize it because I know it's easy for everybody to understand. You may read it as abrupt or curt or flaky or whatever, but it's coming from my perspective and I'm not trying to do that. So one of the things I always recommend is always try to understand who your audience is and who you're communicating with and who is communicating with you back. Right. So always think of them first. One of the things that John Maxwell tells us is no one's going to care about what you know until they know how much you care about them. And you need to go out of your way, especially as the salesperson, as the real estate agent, to show them how much you care about them. And that is trying to talk to them in their language. And that really, really helps a ton out there in that regards. So for me, as Teresa asked, I'm a big video chat person. I like it. I think it's better, but I'm on high I, right? And I just feel like the conversation gets better. But if I have D, I'm going to communicate with them in text, email formats. Mm-hmm. That goes on that way. I'm also going to try to learn about them. I'm going to try to understand them. Now, it's hard in emails to understand what the profiles are, but you can use words to understand that, right? If an I comes out and says they love the home, they're an I. If a D comes out and says, when can I move in? How fast can this get done? They're D's, right? Just tell me the what, when's, hows. That's what or not the hows, but the what, when's, and where's. They're going to tell you that. The S's are going to be about the hows. How's everybody going to feel about this? Are we making anybody mad? Right? You hear the how questions, it's going to be the S. If you get the why questions, it's going to be the C's. So there are triggers that you can always find that will kind of let you know, even in an email or even in a text-based conversation, that you can go. So just as a reiteration, D's are going to be the whens, the I's are going to be the who's, the S's are going to be the hows, and the C's are going to be the whys. So you start getting those questions, you're going to learn real quickly who your audience is and how you can converse with them. If you see them in person, it's really easy to identify because they're going to show you how they are by who they dress. I'm a little toned down today, but normally I have like a blue or red shirt on because the I's are going to dress a little more colorfully than most people will. Your D's are going to dress very much in the power colors, the blacks, the deep reds, things like that are very much a power color. Your C's are going to dress more in the browns, very kind of laid back. And then your S's are going to be a little bit of a mix of the I's are going to have a little color, but it's going to be toned down colors, right? Just going to be a little more subdued because they want to be around everybody. They want to be accepted. So they're going to try to dress like other people, but reserved, more calm. So that's just kind of how that will work. So for me, it all depends how you can do it. I can see a lot by just looking at their Facebook posts ahead of time. I can see what they write and how they do, and I can tell you for the most part who they are and how they're going to want to be communicated to. So studying their Facebook profile is a real easy way of understanding who they are and how you're going to communicate back with them. Okay, that was a lot said. in 30 minutes. Questions you guys have from a communication perspective, how to get along, how to talk to your folks, anything that you have discovered that you have found as good tricks that you have found, especially in the digital world, that will help you communicate with them? Randy, Kathy, Patty, Teresa.
I think it's just always good, Justin, to ask how they want to be communicated with. And that helps a lot. You know, you take the guesswork out.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, right? That's, again, I'm an I, so I always forget that question. But it is huge, right? How do you like to be communicated with? Which format do you want to receive? I do a business builder class. I'm actually starting one next Monday. But when I train in offices, they always want to get my business card. And I always tell them, that's great. You can do whatever you want. You can call me. My phone number's here. Email me this. But I'm going to tell you what, right now, if you want a response, text or email is the only way you're going to get it from me. Because if you make a phone call, I ain't getting it. So it's a huge point.
I think it's also important to note that people can waffle back and forth depending on their schedule, or like you said, some of us have a multitude of those personality types in us. And I find that sometimes people do go back and forth depending on what their work schedule is like, their personal schedule, and admittedly, today's very strange environment. So kind of trying to be aware of those subtle differences is also super important.
You know, and that's, I guess that's a question I was hoping to have answered by the audience, because I'm seeing it personally, but my business is a little different, right? I'm dealing with realtors more than I'm dealing with the consumers. Are you finding today people are wanting a different form of communication? Real estate agents is yes all day long. They want to do a Zoom. They want to text more than they ever have. But I'm not sure. I'm curious about the consumers themselves, because I'm not dealing with them on an everyday basis. Are you guys seeing a change in that format, you know, just based on their time or what the world they're in, that I can text faster than I can talk because my kids are literally hanging on my shoulder?
I think that that realtors in general are finding that people who wouldn't necessarily have picked up a call before may pick up a call now, may be more likely to pick up a call now, just because of the how disheveled everybody's lives are by the pandemic.
Okay,
I'd agree.
that's interesting.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the leads I have, you know, they're picking up the phone more now than what they would have before.
I wonder if some of that, go ahead, Randy.
I would just say, interestingly enough, they're not responding as much to email communication as they are to a phone call. I think they're getting bombarded with just noise with the emails and everything else out there. So they appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that personal call.
And have they slowed down a little bit? And is that maybe part of the reason why they're taking those calls?
I'm not really sure why, except I know for me, it's just really noisy out there. And it's nice to shut that down and have that phone call. So where am I at on that disc profile, Justin?
Well, I would say by your colors in the one conversation we had before, you're either a DI or an ID, would be my guess.
I think that some of the reason they're more willing to pick up is if someone's been furloughed from their job or has lost their job. Email, at least depending on what kind of job they came from, I guess, but email and being bombarded with everything from anybody who ever had your name on a list, it is just something that's overwhelming and can be something you hide from. Whereas if they see a name that they recognize on a phone call, it's a little more, even though you're a business contact, it's still a little bit more on the personal level, especially if the way we handle the calls is I'm not calling you because I'm coming after a lead. I'm calling you because I want to see how you are in this situation.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know for me, I think I've joked about this several different times. Yeah, I always thought this pandemic would get me to inbox zero, and I pretty much have doubled my inbox. So I've had more, and I can't ever seem to find time to get it back to where I was. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The phone calls are nice, and they're definitely a huge personal touch, right? It's definitely going back to what we've talked about in previous sessions about how to stay in front of your clients, and phone calls are by far one of the easiest ways to do it. Are you seeing anybody kind of wanting to do like client meetings via Zoom or FaceTime more than a phone call or an email? Is anybody seeing that at all? And that's more of a question. I'm just trying to predict trends here.
I haven't done the video or the Zoom consultations yet, but within our office, it is becoming more and more prevalent because of the generalized fear that a lot of people have, and the Zoom is still the personal touch, but without having to be there. You come in prepared, and you prepare the client. You know, you have to have your act together of what you're going to present. But I think people are really warming up to that, because it means that their journey doesn't have to stop, but they don't have to necessarily put themselves in harm's way in order to move forward.
I have not found anybody that's wanted to do a Zoom or a other type of video chat. I got to leave this morning and called them right away, and we're set up to see a house tomorrow at 10:30. It's that, you know, I think a lot of them there's a lot of information out there. They don't know how to proceed, what's proper protocol. So some of my clients, they're like, we've got our masks, we've got our gloves, we've got our, you know, they just are, they probably just need to be informed on how to move forward in a, you know, a proper manner. But there's just some hesitation out there until you have a conversation with them, and then you can clear up that confusion, and you can help them know how to move forward in a confident way. And what the benefits are of doing that now. A lot of multiple offers on properties, you know, when they come on the market.
So you are starting to see multiple offers. I mean, things are starting to warm up a little bit. I've seen a little bit. I know, Teresa, when we were talking, when we first started, that, you know, today's been a not hugely busy, but busy day. So you're starting to see that. You're starting to see, because again, low inventory. So you're starting to see the multiple offer scenario come up.
Yeah, I listed a property this week, and within 2 hours, I had an offer on it. And you know, we waited because we had so many showings, and we took, I think we had 3 or 4 offers. So we took our highest and best last night.
Very cool.
I was up in Wisconsin yesterday showing a house, and we on the 3rd largest lake. What lake are you on, Justin?
Not on a lake, just in Menominee Falls.
Menominee Falls. Okay, so yeah, so we're up in between Janesville and Madison yesterday showing a property, but that was just on the market 2 days, and has, you know, my client's a second offer on it, so 2 offers.
Is that Arrowhead?
No, I can't even pronounce the name of the lake. Kashanan, something like that.
Yeah.
Flows through the Rock River as soon as you cross over. But yeah, it's just yeah, it's the house is priced right. You know, it's in a certain price range, in good condition. It's definitely getting interest. I had another one that had like 10 offers on it. I mean, it's crazy.
Awesome. So this will be stretching the communication conversation today, but I do find this interesting. How are you guys today communicating that, right? because what we're seeing, the NAR economic advisor has basically said inventory nationwide is short. And that people need to get their homes, if you're going to sell right now, you need to list now. How are you, Randy, since you just have literally proof of this, how are you communicating that to your audience?
A lot like that. I'm just letting them know. You have to, it's a different conversation between the buyer and the seller, obviously. But I know I've created strategies for buyers to have the best chance of getting the best possible price on a house in a seller's market when it just comes on the market. I've created strategies for sellers to get the best possible price when they list their house. So I have information out there to give them, so they know that I've already thought through this and I'm on their side no matter what hat I'm wearing. And here's how you need to approach it. And here's why now would be a great time, to move into that realm. I think more of the hesitancy is, where do I go when I get my house sold in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days? And so some of that is a little tricky.
Do you do social media? Do you communicate to your client base via Facebook or anything?
I'm not on Facebook, Patty. I'm still boycotting that fad, so I'm not sure what that's all about.
Okay.
So yeah, only social media I have is LinkedIn, and I got that years ago and almost got rid of that a couple of years ago, but I was able to track some leads through that, and it's proved to be a good way to communicate professionally. But yeah, so it's, some of that is getting it out through social media, through LinkedIn, and then others just in my constant communication with my best opportunities to help somebody buy or sell a house in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. Just different communication for the different audience and where they're at.
I came in late today. May I ask what area you're in? What location?
Yeah, I'm in. I focus primarily on the southern McHenry County
Okay.
and northern Kane County. From sweet spot would be Hampshire, Huntley, Algonquin, Lake in the Hills, Pingree Grove, those areas, Gilbert's.
Okay.
My sister's got a listing in Gilbert's. Get it sold for me.
Hey, we can help with that. Send it to me.
Well, now she's got one of those tough ones. She's got tenants in it, so it's one of those tough shows.
Yeah.
With all the rules.
Can you even show those?
No.
I didn't think so.
Well, you can be creative on those, though. You can't take them in, but you can request to go in yourself and take a little video tour, and you can be creative on those. You don't have to just stop. It's just communicating, asking, and then going. You can't take the clients through, but be creative.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing I would say the worst thing you can do is just pause. Right now, the other P word should be position. You should be positioning yourself so that as soon as this opens up, Patty, Kathy, Paul, you're ready to capitalize on the opportunities that are there, because you're positioning yourself as the go-to person now in that area.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because again, what our economic advisor Eunice said as well is, it'll probably be 3, 4, maybe 6 months, but we'll have a summer some point in time, and it will pop. So if you can be out here communicating with your audience right now about where the market is, what's going on, what's good, what you should be thinking about, they'll reach out to you when they're ready, because they are ready. They're just not ready during this time. So
they really need somebody to guide them. That, we can't be the fearful ones sitting back. We need to be the ones that are taking charge and leading and showing them the way to move forward. A lot of people are finding out their houses are not where they would have wanted to be at during this time. And so it's a great time to move, talk to them about moving from, when this breaks from where they're at to a bigger place, in case we have a second wave of this next year.
Yeah, have the home that you can stay in.
Yeah. We want to save marriages and save families.
Sometimes it's having your own space, right?
Sometimes it's having a place to go, absolutely.
Well, I do think it's not necessarily related to this, but I do think that builders and even, designers, remodelers are going to have busy times coming up, because I do think we have changed how work is done, which means you're going to see a lot more true offices at home. Not a replaced bedroom, but an office. And separate, right? Because husband and wives can't be on top of each other working the whole time.
Yeah.
And particularly, they do online meetings, which that's what I've heard with some of my coworkers, because we have so many people that are working from home, that if you have two spouses that are working from home and they both have to do some sort of audio video meetings, they don't want to be in the room right next to each other, or even maybe the rooms right next to each other. They kind of need some space. And then you need space from the kids.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have a big house.
Lots and lots of rooms.
Yeah.
Well, and it may change the model, right? I mean, for the longest time, people were starting to size down, so to speak, right? They weren't getting the 4,000 square feet homes because they didn't need them. They weren't there as much, or they were doing other things. And I think you may see that change a little bit. Again, I don't think it'll be huge homes, but I do think basement utilization, you will see other factors that come into play, because we do all need our space, especially if we're doing things like this more and more often.
You really need to know your market well, and because the statistics and things that come out, so many of that is nationwide. And if you can get down to your market and know your area well, and the people that you serve, then there's a reality of what can be done within that pocket that you serve. And there's only certain types of housing available in areas that you are serving. Some might not allow for that.
Well, and we do have tools for that, right? InfoSparks can build us down real tight and put it in there. RPR will build you some real nice reports. If you guys have not got into RPR, get into that tool. RPR actually has heat maps, show you the areas that are slowing down, the areas that are picking up over a 12-month period. I actually, about 2 years ago, I took a couple classes, and one of the classes they had a tool they were trying to sell that would build scattergrams that show you the inclination or declination of a pricing area. Well, I wasn't going to spend the $40 a month to get the tool, so I figured out how to do it myself. So now I have scattergrams that I can build for neighborhood subdivisions to show them how their area is doing in general. And showing the market, to show it to them visually, is going to show them where their strengths and weaknesses are in their area all day long.
Which one on the disc profile is going to want that report, Justin?
All the C's, D's to some degree, but all the C's all day long. Well, and see, for me, my hometown is Sycamore, DeKalb, where I'm in a university town. So I'm inundated with, give me the data, people.
Yeah, I'm in your backyard too. I live in Hampshire, so I know. I work that art area as well.
Yeah. So I failed bad on one, real bad on one of my first professors. He was an economics professor, and Cloud CMA just came out. So I'm an I, so it was pretty. It looked awesome. Like, this is an awesome report. Everybody's going to want it. I printed out for an economics professor, 65-page report for an economics professor. He looked at 2 pages.
Yeah, but that's a nice thing with that program. You can just print out the 2 pages for those. So as long as you know your audience.
Yep.
So,
big fat fail.
It's a good learning lesson. Learn from that. You're better because of it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, I do that a lot, and it's just funny to me. Because again, that audience is different. If you don't know who it is, and again, he wasn't pissed. He didn't care. He just looked at 2 pages. All I looked at was about $30 from printing that went out the window. And this was 2008. So the market was starting to, we were starting to feel the shift in that area. So I knew he wasn't going to sell anyways, but it's like, okay, I could have saved myself a lot of money. Oh, well.
You've closed 5 homes for him since, right?
He has given me business. He has given me business with other people. He still lives in his home, but yeah.
Yep.
So it's always one of those things. Well, folks, we are at that time. We are at the top of the hour. I thought we would have been done shorter than this, but this was a good conversation. So I really appreciate it. At any point in time, guys, if you ever have questions or you want Teresa and I to have a topic that you guys are looking at, I think we're talking next week, quote unquote, digitally, virtually staging conversation. What are good ideas? Hopefully you guys will attend. I think that sounds like a really good one because I do think having different staging techniques versus the virtual world versus real life changes things a bit.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about that next week. But if you guys have other ideas, other topics you want to hear about, let us know. We're always looking for ways to help you all, right? We're looking ways to do that. So please reach out to us any way you can. If you do, I will throw this out. If you guys actually do want to know what your profile is, reach out to me and we can talk about getting that to you. Because I'm a certified disc instructor, so I can get you all that good stuff. If you're interested.
It might scare us to find out what we are.
It may. It may.
We're pretty schizophrenic, maybe. A bunch of those.
We just put you in one of those categories, Teresa. No.
I'm sure you did.
Hey, thank you, Justin. Thanks, Teresa. I gotta leave. So
Thank you for being here,
Thank
guys.
you.
Hope it was
Appreciate it.
helpful. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend, everyone.
You
Yep,
too.
Thanks all.
Thank
You have
you.
a good day. Okay. I put her in the waiting room.
Oh, excellent. Well, I have a whole page of notes. Yay. My little 4 personality styles. I love that you threw the color